Some watches you see every day, some watches you dream about seeing once. And then there are watches that exist only once, objects whose rarity is not just numerical, but historical, cultural, and emotional. These are the watches that reset auction records, dominate collector mythology, and quietly redefine that word rare and what it actually means. Today's episode is a guided journey through the rare watches. Explore the world's most exquisite timepieces book. This is a lavishly illustrated book that brings together some of the most extraordinary watches ever made. Not because they are expensive, but because their stories refuse to fade. The book is greatly written by Paul Miquel, a watch journalist whose background spans GQ and sport and style, where he developed a reputation for treating watches not as isolated objects, but as cultural artifacts shaped by taste, context, and human obsession. What gives this book additional authority is that it opens with foreword by Aurel Bax and Jean-Claude Biver, two figures who, from different ends of the watch world, have profoundly influenced how rarity, value, and desirability are conducted today. Well, Bax represents the auction room where rarity becomes public record. Biver, on the other hand, represents the industry where narratives are engineered, sustained, and amplified. Their presence signals something important. This book is not speculative. It's written from inside the ecosystem of modern collecting. This is not a brand monograph, so it's not a technical manual. Rare Watches is a curated anthology of more than 50 timepieces who are exceptional, and they are selected for their uniqueness, provenance, historical importance, or cultural resonance. The watches span unique, one-off creations, historically significant prototypes, record-setting auction pieces, watches owned by cultural, political, and celebrity figures, and the photography produced in collaboration with major auction houses, including Christie's, treats each watch as an object of study, not just admiration. This is a book about why certain watches escape normal rules of collecting. One of the book's strongest contributions is that it refuses a simplistic definition of rarity and what rarity means. Miquel presents rarity as layered and cumulative. For example, numerical rarity, where he includes unique pieces or extremely limited production. Historical rarity, watches tied to pivotal moments or lost techniques. Cultural rarity, watches associated with specific individuals or myths. And then market rarity, watches that fundamentally change auction expectations. And a perfect example discussed in the book is the Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona that they've named the Holy Grail, which is not rare merely of production numbers, but because its provenance reshaped the collector market itself. In this framework, rarity is not scarcity alone, it is significance remembered over time. Rather than organizing watches strictly by brand or by era, the book follows a narrative groupings that mirror how collectors actually think. Stars at auction, which are watches that reset market ceilings. Watchmaking and at the highest level, which are rare watches because of technical or artistic ambitions. And then watches and heroes, which are pieces whose owners matter as much as their mechanics. This structure allows the reader to move fluidly between economics, craftsmanship, and mythology, where reinforcing the idea that rarity lives at the intersection of all three of them. By the time you are quarter of the way through the book, it becomes clear. This isn't just about watches, it's about how value is constructed, remembered, and how it is reinforced. One of the book's most powerful tools is its photography. These watches are not only styled to seduce, they are documented to convince the reader. Macro shots reveal hand-finished details, unconventional complications, patina wear, and irregularities that testify to authenticity. Because the imagery is produced with auction house rigor, rarity becomes visually legible, not theoretical. This reinforces a crucial idea. Rare watches are not perfect, they are specific. What keeps rare watches from becoming a sterile catalog is its instance of storytelling, of course. Very nice storytelling. Each watch is contextualized. Who commissioned it, who wore it, who used it, how it traveled, why it mattered, whether it's a watch tied to exploration, diplomacy, entertainment, or industry. The book consistently shows that watches become rare when human narrative attaches itself to metal and mechanics. Collectors don't fall in love with calibers alone, they fall in love with lived stories. Here's the unavoidable political dimension, because remember, we are here at Watches of Politics. Rarity functions as soft power. A watch that commands millions at auction does more than set a price. It shapes taste, influences collecting behavior, and determines which histories get preserved and amplified. When a rare watch becomes widely known, it becomes a symbol authority within the culture of collecting. That's not party politics, that's status politics, and this book documents it quietly, but very, very clearly. Strip the book down, and its argument is simple but powerful. Rarity is not created by limitation alone. It is created by memory, by repetition, by the belief. A watch becomes rare when it is remembered, it is talked about, it is reenacted through stories. This is why the book insists on narrative alongside imagery, because rarity lives as much in the mind as it does in the world. Well, the book makes one very important point. Collectors don't just collect objects. They collect stories worth carrying forward, generation through generation. So, what is really Rare Watches Explore the World's Most Exquisite Timepieces by Paul Mikkel? Well, it's part visual archive, part cultural anthology, and part meditation on why certain objects become legendary. But I actually want to hear from you. Which watch story still feels like a myth to you? Does rarity create value, or does value create rarity? And which watch today do you believe will still matter 50 years, 100 even years from now? Well, leave a comment, send a message, tell me which book you also want next. Because in the end, watches aren't just instruments of time, they are containers of memory. They're arguments about value, and sometimes they're rare enough to shape history. This is Watches and Politics, and I'll see you in the next chapter.